Hi, I'm Yue He, and my project is called Wonderful Journey. It is a sex education project for Chinese young adults. I want to do this project because as a girl grew up in China, I didn't receive enough sex education, and that caused some confusions in later of my life. And when I talk about it with my peers, I realized that it is not only a problem of mine, it is also a problem of our generation. So I started to think, like, as a design student, how could I make my contribution to this problem? My target audience are Chinese adults from 18 to 25. I chose this target audience because I feel it would be easier for me to get empathy and also do my research. And most importantly, I realized the problem from them. And in the first half of my project, I was using research for design method. And after ideation and prototyping, I was using research by design method. So first, in my secondary research, I started by trying to understand what is sex education, the definition of it. And there are six aspects listed here. Among these six, there are three I feel more interested in: relationships, sexual behavior, society, and culture. And I started to do more research in these three areas. During my secondary research, I noticed a significant global gap and the problems caused by sexual taboos. So I'm more interested in breaking the sexual taboos in China by creating an interactive experience or to help people identify dangerous relationships and establish healthy relationships. But I can do both at the same time. So after talking with 4 students in ZJU, I decided to move forward with the breaking taboo one because all of them agree that it is more lacking in China. And I also did some comparative study. And here are 4 pieces I found especially helpful in my research. And for my primary research part, I firstly did an interview with Mrs. Xuemei Zhang. She is a psychological counselor worked in ZJU for the last 8 years. And my top insights includes the difference between male and female students and what kind of questions she seek here. And also she mentioned sex education in our school is mainly about physiology and contraception. And sometimes they hold workshops and the students are willing to come in. But we still should increase our care for students' mental health. And in the user interview part, I got insights about how they feel about our current sex education and how do they find the past sex education they received helpful, who do they talk with when they have confusions, etc. And my main insights in both two interviews includes talking about sex is still not easy, especially when you feel guilty about having that kind of confusion and desire. And comparing to searching online, which is a highly used method, consulting professionals such as psychologists is a more authentic way. But many people will not choose it because they feel shy or feel the service is too expensive. And although I intended to design for the pleasure aspects about sex, I realized that the essential sex education is still lacking in China, and this is the basic of everything. Without safety and mental and physical health, we can't move on to the next stage. So I decided to focus more on these basic contents in my project. According to my primary research, I created 2 personas for my target audience. Kyle and Lulu are different in their background, relationship status, etc., but they all have this problems caused by lack of scientific and up-to-date sex education. And here is a user journey map describing a normal journey of them like have confusion and searching online and practicing live and their consequences. So in the ideation part, I first use a non-legislator model to define some actions we can use now, and some other things we may develop in the future. And the things in the now are which I'm currently working on. Also, I did brainstorming after that, and after brainstorming, I came up with a few potential outcomes, including board game, video game, RPG game, for single player or for multiple player. My first idea is maze of sex education. Like you are brave or looking for a lost crown, and here are monsters in the maze. They represent STDs, unintended pregnancy, etc. And you answer questions to beat them. There's also countdown here. So there are main problems of this first idea. Firstly, the sex crown will make audience feel is for males, and that makes it improper. And using monster to represent STD is not a positive metaphor. It may result in pain and stigmatization of disease. And in the user testing part, there are two parts here. First is a chess flight game, and a second is a 2D maze game. The chess flight game is a multiple player game, and the 2D maze game is a single player game of, I'm using Wizard of Oz method here. So to my surprise, although all participants can understand the rule and finish the text successfully, the feedback in the chess flight game is much better than the maze game. And I realized that to make players break players when they are trying to escape a maze, it can be annoying. And so later I decided to make the experience more interesting, change the text-heavy questions to interactive illustrations to make it not more like a quiz but like a game, and also change the concept of a maze to a beautiful journey. Here is the refined story and the user flow. You can see we divide the journey into 3 different stages. I will introduce about them later. And here's a mood board about the visual style I want to apply. And here is a wireframing. This is the first stage of the game. You are walking around in your town, and you just realize that you are lost in a forest. It's a weird forest with bubbles floating. You can answer questions correctly to find your direction. And after you get off the forest, you are on a path. Here, you can see questions on the roadside. You can also find the right direction by identify the true answer. And the third thing is here the way back to home. And when you on your way back to home, along your side, there are a gallery of introducing aspects about the pleasure aspect of sex. And here is interactive lo-fi model available. This is visual design part. I'm using this font, and you can notice that from the beginning to the end, the tone of the story turns from gray tone to more colorful, and it is representing the world can be more colorful when you have enough scientific sex education and become an authentic adult. Here are some main interfaces. I also have made a game demo. I will show this later. Here is the game demo I made. Here you're lost in the forest and you want to find a way out. And suddenly you realize that here are some weird floating bubbles, and there are questions here. If you answer it correctly, you can find the right way out. I only show one quiz here, but in fact the game will include more. And this is the second stage. And finally, you may manage to get back to home. That's all. Thank you for watching.